Hi there, I'm Nu-Trix and welcome to another video of the free course on the Gaia 2 synthesis course, how to make your own sound design, call it what you want. Basically, get to know your synth so you can actually create your own stuff. Today, we're going to focus on the LFOs. What is an LFO and how do they work? They're more capable than you think. So let's just dive in and see what we can do with LFOs. Let's go back to initialize sound, so init. Yes, so I've got my init sound. Nothing special about it. Very soft sound. Let's pick a... So we start with this. Okay, the LFOs here, you have two of them, LFO 1 and 2. And you have the rate, so the speed. You have the wave, so the shape of it. We have the depth, how much is going to affect the destination. We have the tempo sync. So is it the value of the rate, will it be in musical values or is it just going to be oscillators, numbers? And you have 4 destination for this oscillator. Actually, it's an oscillator. It's a low frequency oscillator for this LFO. And we have 4 of them for this also. This option of 4 destination is often what people call about the matrix, the modulation matrix. And in some synthesizer, you enter another page and this submenu, or it's a grid like on the, it's a grid where you say, well, this source to destination, and you match them and then you assign. In this case, you have 4 for one source, which is really cool because that LFO can have many destinations and it can affect many things at the same time, which is really fun. And 2 LFOs with this option means you've got 8 different destinations that can move. And you have by default, you imagine you can have the pitch because you can change the note. If you think about it in musical values, the LFO would be used for vibrato, tremolo, stuff like that. So let's say we do a tremolo. So we're going to have the LFO affect the amplifier. So we're going to say first one is actually assigned to pitch. Let's say we assign to second one, and then the second one we're going to say assign it to level. Okay. And now if we bring up the depth, you hear the volume. You hear the volume going up and down with that speed. Fast or slow, and with that shape we go like that here. That's the sawtooth. So it's the movement of that knob moving in real time, and it moves with the shape that we decided to have here. You see? Let's say we assign it to, let's discontinue that assignment, the second one, and assign it to pitch here, this one here. Oscillator 2 pitch. Now you hear that pitch very obviously. It jumps between 2 different sources, 2 notes. That's the depth. Because it's how far from the original key, which is this one. Like a siren. Slow or fast. So you hear all these sound effects, you hear it right away. Random is just randomized, and it's gliding between value. It's gliding. Almost like an alien talking. Well, I'm guessing. And then you have sample and hold. So sample and hold, let's, for the sake of it, just imagine that this is basically just a square wave, but with different value of the flat line. So it goes between, so they almost sound like notes in this case. And you have a real step. Now you can edit the waveform of the step here, enter to edit, and then you can go, well, I'm gonna step 1, go here, I'm gonna change the depth of it, and I'm gonna change the curve, and I want it to be like this. And I'm gonna go back to step 4. So there's 16 steps. No, don't. Oh, shit. Okay. So this is a weird step, but I mean, it means that you can even create a step for playing notes on top of your step sequencer. So but it doesn't have to be notes. And that's the thing. You can say this instead. It's going to be assigned to the cutoff point. So. Well, okay, this one's weird, but you can imagine, and this can be tempo synced. So you can follow the tempo and really have that movement in real time as you play. So very complex, very quickly. And again, you can have 4 different destinations for this one. So really, really, really cool. Now let's go back. We said, let's do a vibrato. So vibrato would be, whoops, we'll go to sine wave, because you try to mimic how, let's say, a finger on a string would glide between 2 notes. So it goes wah, 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 wah between the notes, not too quickly and not too far away. So you wanted something that is more human to play with. So a sine wave. The depth, we'll play with that, we'll see. The pitch, you want to assign this, then you go assign. We're going to assign it to pitch, as we said earlier. I'm going to open the filter. And this is too much. You say, okay, this could be some type of vibrato. Then you play with the speed. But you go, okay, it sounds too mechanical, because most time you don't play all the time with vibrato. It comes in later on. So when you look at this, there's no control over later on. But if you go, I'm going to exit, exit, exit. Let's go into the LFO1 window, or like this. Enter. And you'll see that we have a couple of extra control, like the delay time and the fade time. Delay time, let's put it to, I don't know, 75. I don't know. Let's just... You see, when you press it, it waits before it starts. So it's only when you sustain it you start to do your... Well, let's bring this a little bit softer or faster. But it's just too fast. So I'm going to go also here, and I'm going to select fade time. So it just glides in, it fades in. When it starts to vibrate, it's just a little more natural. So you get your vibrato coming in as you sustain the note, which is more natural to play with. So these two are extra control you have. Delay time and fade time, really cool. Assign depth, this is the LFO destination. Okay. The other thing that is interesting is the key trigger switch. It means that every time you press a key, the LFO will start the movement from 0. So it starts the movement at the same place. I'll show you an example of how it would be useful. Let's try this. Okay, assign it to the filter again, cutoff point. Bring the cutoff to 0. And bring that up. We hear the movement, okay? Let's try to use this. Now we have the delay. You see that it starts, so let's go back here and I'm going to say, I don't want any delay time anymore. And I don't want any fade time anymore. You have that movement, okay? Okay, I like that sound. But every time I play, you see, the LFO is vibrating by itself whenever it wants, and it's following the tempo sync, but it's not following when I play. So I'm just grabbing it where it is while it vibrates. If I wanted to trigger as I play the keys, then I'm going to go into here, key trigger on. So every time you play it, you trigger the envelope, and because the shape is a sawtooth, you have that type of envelope opening and closing, but now you're following the rhythm of, in this case, tempo sync. So that's really cool. And every time you play, it opens because you're on the key. It's key triggered so that the LFO restarts at that moment. Well, that's pretty cool. So depending on what you're doing, you might want to have this or not. It depends how and what you're controlling with the LFO. That's the logic. So that was for what you could do with the filter. You could do it with the oscillator for the pitch. You can do it for the amplitude, for the tremolo. And now you can open it up. You can say, well, I'm going to do something else. Instead of doing this, I'm going to go back to assign, and I'm going to assign it to position. And that's really cool, because if you're going to the waveform that you have, let's bring that up. And we can have this. So now you have the position going through the different waveform of the table, and that's the position you have. And because we're in key trigger, it always do the same introduction of evolution of. So like if you would actually have an envelope triggering that, because now but then it's cycling. And if you change the position, change how it triggers. But if you take off the trigger, you're going to get it where it is. So if you have this, now it's because it's tempo sync, but if you don't have tempo sync, you have the evolution of the wavetable. That's it. That's just a wavetable playing. And if I do the same thing, let's say I bring that down and I bring up this one, I can also do, let's say I'm going to go the third one, and I'm going to assign it to shape. Then I assign this. You hear the movement. So the movement we hear is the LFO changing the shape. And it's the same thing with the pulse width modulation. And we hear that movement if we play the keys because we don't have the key trigger on. If it's on, it's going to always be the same beginning. Every key triggered has re-triggered the LFO. So now if you don't do that, you hear the movement, because now you're picking up where the LFO is with the shape or with the position of the tape. Press and then you move. But the decay, the attack, the release, that's really cool, because you can have a song playing or an arpeggiator playing and have this. Let's try this instead. See, now it's changing this. It goes fast, longer, and softer as depending on, let's say we say we assign this also to this. So I'm changing the way the envelope works with the LFO assigning it to it. So a lot of things here can be assigned to the LFOs, and that's really what is deeply powerful. In a very simple way of doing it, you have your 4 destination, each of them they have their depth, and it's really quick to assign. So, well then, you know that next video is going to be about envelopes, so we'll go deeper into that. That's it. Stay safe, make me music, and see you soon. Cheers.